But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's
never been seen by a human being.
The best is yet to come.
I can't be stopped now because I become completely resistant to all their trolling, and that's the powerful position that all of us will be in if you just stay on the path of truth.
Houston, we have a problem.
We destroyed that technology.
People should not be walking around with masks.
That stuff is flat.
There's your flu
Last year.
Here's your flu
This year.
Literally doesn't even exist.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hibbeler Effect. Today on the show, we're going to have David Avocado Wolfe, a health expert. This guy has changed so many people's lives with his knowledge. He's also a truther, truth seeker, and he explains it all. He does a lot and brings a lot to the table. I hope you guys enjoy the show today. I just want to thank everyone for these late donations coming in for Level With Me. Looks like we're not gonna be able to fund the entire project. I had a few ideas in mind to finalize the film, but it's all good. The film is still epic, and by next year we'll be able to tackle some more ideas that I want to hit this year. But I'll tell you right now, this film is epic. I'm really hope you guys are excited. Everyone that donated, as you know, you will be getting a free copy via email. So make sure you email me on April 22nd with your receipt for your donation. I will reply with your free copy. And make sure you share that with family and friends and get the ball rolling because it's time to level with me. This is a film that's going to turn a lot of heads, and I set it up this way. I hope you guys agree, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Level with me.
We'll also continue to engage with China. We're not looking for a new Cold War, but I make no apologies for taking down that balloon. Thank you very much.
This is not a new phenomenon that you might find balloons in the air. The fact that
so there are all kinds of possibilities here. Could it be a weather balloon? Absolutely.
Could it be a weather balloon? Absolutely.
Mainstream calls them satellites. They're satelloons because they're all on balloons. We're in public. There's no expectation of privacy.
Why are we only told about this other idea of satellites? It's a well-kept secret that we have tons of huge balloons above us.
You don't know about any of these satellites without the balloons?
Space is the biggest psyop of all time.
The Earth is not what NASA says it is.
Many people are becoming aware that there's a firmament.
There's a firmament above us. Why is it when we review this footage that these things are exploding? It looks like they're hitting a barrier.
Houston, we have a problem. Yeah, the problem is you can't get past the firmament.
Some of these rockets look like they're scraping across a watery firmament, kind of like a boat dragging something through the water. I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're not flying into space.
This is disclosure.
People want to call us conspiracy theorists, but we're about to blow this wide open.
Oh, it's going to blow up or something's going to happen.
The 1986 Challenger disaster did not die in the explosion, with many of them hiding in plain sight.
Did you ever think the public would find out that all the spacewalks were filmed underwater?
Thanks, sir. The liars are the enemy, even if they live in our own backyard.
So in the process, I have flown all over the country, out of the country. I've had a good experience. It's just been nonstop, guys. It's really been nonstop for me since New Year's. I have really not stopped working on this project. It has been nuts. Talk about a full-time job. It seems like it's 24 hours. Haven't gotten much sleep. Threw my back out in the process, I'm sure from the stress. But I'm looking forward to this film's release on the 22nd so I can get to the gym, get some free time, some yoga, just get my body right again. I'm looking forward to that, trust me. But all right, guys, David Avocado Wolfe is joining us here. Let's connect with the man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hibbeler Effect. And as promised today, we have David Avocado Wolfe, the health genius, as I call him. Thanks for coming on the show, Dave. Thanks for taking the time.
Right on. Thanks, man. It's been a long time that we've been wanting to do a show together, so we're here. Let's do it. Let's dig in. We'll go all the way.
We're going to go all the way, and as my audience knows, first 20, 25 minutes, going to keep it PG, no trigger words, and then we'll head over to Rockfin, and we'll do the big boy talk as always. David Avocado Wolfe, you just got back from a health conference, first one in 5 years. How did that go?
It went really good. So, we had done these wonderful longevity conferences for years. I mean, I'd done about 16 or 17 of them, and it was awesome. I became really good friends with some really interesting people like Dr. Mercola. Dr. Mercola is an amazing researcher. I mean, he's just right in the thick of it. And I love that about him. He actually reads anywhere from 50 to 150 books on nutrition every year. That's how berserk he is.
Wow, he reads 150 more books than I do every year.
So that was cool to get back into that mode. Now, in this particular case, we had Dr. Judy Mikovits, and we had Del Bigtree, and we had Mickey Willis, just because I've been living in Texas. So those have been my friends. We've been crossing paths quite a lot of the last 3 years that I've been living in Texas. I still have a spot, I'm up here in the far north, up here in China. I still have my spot up here, but unfortunately, things in this country are going south real quick.
Yeah, man. You're in Canada right now, right?
We call it China.
Oh man. Well, it's a beautiful home, man. I like the style of the house. I have to have a green screen, unfortunately, because you'll just see a white wall. I don't really have much, but you have a beautiful home. Let me compliment it now, as you already know. But I want to start off with some, again, innocent topics. A long time, I forgot which of my, I had flat Earth videos I've been making since 2015. And I believe it was Realize. I would assume that's the one that I had you in there. I didn't know who you were then. I think you were on a show. It was a show where it's like an interview style where it was like really super quality. I forgot what it was, but you were talking about how the universe is not what they told us it was. And you were going on and on about it. In the clip, I put the clip in, and people were back then were like, who is this guy? Where is this guy? And I didn't even know you were a full-on flat earther. Literally at the time, I don't know if you were at the time, but when I heard that line, I'm like, that's perfect. I need that for my project. I hope he's a flat earther. And then it turns out that you actually were. When did you realize this truth? Was it a long, long time ago? Was it recently? Was this a rabbit hole that, was hard to go down for you, that, the lies of our, the globe and all this shit?
Well, let me start off from the beginning. I was red-pilled very early by my neighbor, Mrs. Smutko, and the Smutko family. They were a Hungarian family. They lived right next door to us in Seaside Heights, New Jersey, where I was born. And that's a whole story there, right there. But very, very young, Mrs. Smutko told us, this is who's the bagman in New Jersey. Here's what this political party's up to. Here's this, here's that. Here's who Walter Mondale is. That was back in the Walter Mondale days, like 1975, 76. Jimmy Carter, here's who's backing him, his whole thing up. She told us everything. I'm like 5, 6, 7 years old, right? She told us everything. She had some tremendous insight, or maybe I was just a different kind of kid, or me and my brothers were just different than normal kids. I don't know. But she laid it on us. And so I started very early on with banksters, what the banksterism's about, the fractional reserve lending, all the crap that goes on. So that's what kind of set the stage,
set the tone for your mind to
to be open to right around 2004, 2005. My business partner at the time, he left me a bunch of videos that the moon landing was fake. And in those videos, obviously the moonlight, at that point, I'd already been kind of opened up to the idea. And by the time I got through those videos, I was like, oh yeah, definitely fake.
It's pretty obvious once you watch it. I always tell people, they're like, you believe in the moon landing? They're like, yeah. I'm like, have you watched it? And usually they go, well, not really. I'm like, exactly.
It's like cringe theater for sure. So what ended up happening is that set of videos it gave me the idea. It put the idea in my head that the entire spaced out program could be fake. And by the way, that's what I call it. It's the spaced out program, because you have to be spaced out to believe in it at this point. The evidence is there. I've gone through thousands of hours of material. So have you, so is Jaron, so is all our other friends. And it's just fake as can be. It's actually a B movie joke. And so, but it started then. And so right around probably 2015, beginning of 2015, I started seeing it come up on my YouTube recommendations, and I started thinking, I bet this is the bottom of the rabbit hole. I bet this is it. And then I was on a phone call. I used to have a regular scheduled phone call once every 6 months, 3 months, sometimes every month, with a very famous scientist and a very important teacher of mine, Dr. Patrick Flanagan. Okay. And Patrick Flanagan and his wife ran in front of the camera one day. I was talking to him on a Zoom call or Skype or whatever it was back then. And she's like, Patrick, tell me about the flat Earth. And I was like, oh, Patrick, what do you think about the flat Earth? And as soon as he hesitated, as soon as I knew he didn't know for sure that we were on a globe, I knew we weren't. Mm-hmm. Because he designed weapons defense systems to, for example, to detect missiles coming over the quote unquote North Pole, whatever that is, when he was a kid. Wow. So I was like, this guy doesn't know it's a globe for sure. And so that's when immediately I was like, oh, I better dive in. And that's when I dove in.
And it's 2015. When you were looking at videos and trying to do your research, did anything stand out to you? Anyone back in the day, any name drops, anyone that you were like, oh crap, did anyone help you in the process? Because there was, some pretty good OG flat earthers. 2015 was kind of prime. It was prime, yeah.
Because
I always admit it was Eric Dubé and it was ODD TV. Both of them.
I liked ODD TV. Yep. I also liked who was the guy? The 200 proofs that 200
That's
proofs.
Eric Dubé.
Okay, was it Eric Dubé? Who was the other guy? There was another guy who was kind of like he's kind of like
Santos Bonacci?
Nope. I like Santos Bonacci too. That was also, I liked his information. Yeah. I like Jaron's information. From there, Jaron and I became friends. That's I really at some point was like, I should track this guy down. And Jaron and I started doing shows, but I think back in 2016. And then I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He's a little bit goofy. He was one of the main guys back then. Anyway, so those were the main, things that I got through. But I was in Miami at the time because I went from Hawaii and I eventually worked my way all the way back to Miami within a week or 2 weeks. So I was on that call in Hawaii with Patrick Flanagan, and then I made it to Hawaii and made it to Miami. And by the time I got to Miami, I was like, oh, I can really dig into the stuff because I have time. And that was around, like a, really long weekend, and I dove in. And then I remember seeing the footings to a bridge, and I'm looking on my phone. It's like, okay, that thing's 9 miles away.
Yeah.
And I can see with my eye that the footing of the bridge is not obscured.
Yeah.
I can see it. And that was when I went, oh shit.
Self-evidence at that point. There's nothing better, man. And that's the thing, is a lot of people, they're not even interested in learning the truth. And it's so easy to go out and find it yourself. It's like a lot of people in this world, as you know, they like to be controlled. They like to be told what to do. They like to be told what to think. And that's just how they're programmed. And those are the hardest people to get on board with anything. And for me, it's like, are we different than them? Like what's it's like I try to analyze different people in my life that I know that just they don't get it. Not even 9/11. They don't get it. They just, oh, no. Is there a way that maybe there's different types of humans out here, man? Because what is wrong with people? I don't get it.
Well, there's a number of different theories about that. It's a very interesting question. Now, I tend towards the Rudolf Steiner perspective, who, by the way, as soon as Patrick was like, as soon as I was like, he's not sure, it's a globe, I immediately remembered what Rudolf Steiner had written in one of his books. He said the Ptolemaic worldview would make a revival in the 21st century. And I was like, and I remember reading that going, there's no way. I mean, the Ptolemaic worldview, which is essentially the flat earth map, the azimuthal equidistant projection with the North Pole in the center.
Yeah.
And I was just like, there's just no way. And then that happened. And then all the flat earth stuff happened. I was like, my God, he called it. That started me back into Rudolf Steiner, who by far, in my opinion, is the most important philosopher and most important Christian, by the way, in history, in my opinion, other than Jesus. That's my personal opinion on that. We can get into that if you want to get into that. Anyway, the amazing discovery that is that we're coming into is that not everyone is like us. And Steiner's perspective is that some people, a small percentage of the population, are actually inhabited by demons. Some are inhabited by asuras, which are like extraterrestrial or some interdimensional creatures. And then the masses, the great masses of the people have not developed an ego formation. They have not developed an individuation or a strong enough, what he called the I or the ego. Now, this is different from, say, a Freudian ego, or we got to get away from our ego crap, which is, arrogance or whatever the narcissism is. This is a different definition of ego. And it's about individuation and individuating yourself. And those who are individuated, who can think independently, are people like us. If we haven't developed that, or it's not within our karma to develop it, we'll be like the masses. Whatever's told to us is what we'll believe. And that was a very big piece of the puzzle for me on Steiner's. That was Steiner's perspective. So I was like, that fits what my observations are.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you got on board. We need more knowledgeable, smart-minded people to speak about this stuff. I think that there's a lot of people that know, but they don't talk about it. And that's the problem to me. This is why it's taken this long to get millions of people together to go past Antarctica or to head towards the North Pole. Because people tell me all the time, why don't you just get a bunch of, there's millions of flat earthers. Why don't you? Yeah, it's a process, but in the meantime, it'd be easier if everyone was. Everyone. Because collectively, they couldn't stop all of us.
I've got a really good angle on that. And
let's hear it, because I'm all about it, man. I want to dissolve this treaty,
I know you're going to dig this. I have a friend of mine who ran the Air Force of a whole country. I'm not going to say what the country is, but he ran the Air Force for 20 years.
Okay.
And he's a flat earther. He knows it's flat because he's a pilot, and he's flown at 500 miles per hour at 1 meter off the ground. He knows. He's absolutely, that's why first thing when we first met, he's like, it's flat, isn't it? I was like, of course, it's obvious. Right. And this is the guy who ran the Air Force for a whole nation. This is where we're going. Eventually, people like us will take control of a nation, or we will become advisors to the heads of states of a great nation.
I agree.
And then we will direct a unilateral or a multilateral approach with several different nations to actually go, we're going into Antarctica, we're filming it all, and try to stop us. And we can see that the party that doesn't want that to happen is the Western powers, because they're the ones who are caught in the Satanism and the lying and all the fake spaced out programs and all
the trafficking. I mean, let's just be honest, because
the trafficking,
for me, the outer lands, there's no way they're not doing something with that. I mean, let's just be honest.
Anybody can go onto Marine Traffic, which is that app where you can track marine traffic, and there's traffic going on inside Antarctica. I've seen it multiple occasions where there's shipping traffic happening inside Antarctica. When I say shipping traffic, I'm talking about ships on water.
Yeah, it's like somehow it just jumped from water to ice, and it's in the middle of the ice somehow. Yeah, okay.
That's somehow we're going to believe that story. And it's just like, at this stage, we've broken, that's another thing about people like us, is we've cracked out of the matrix. We don't buy their BS anymore. Not at all. It's all bullshit. And we're way beyond that now. So that's how it's going to go down for the Antarctica mission. We're going to get a nation on board, and we are going to we're going to use a multilateral approach of many different countries working together, and we're going in. And then, good luck trying to stop us. The Western powers, in my opinion, and this is another Steiner thing, are going to fall due to the parasitism, right? We've been parasitized massively. I mean, the level of parasitism in the West, I mean, the whole spaced out program, the whole worldview of outer space, your eyeballs blow out, the whole thing is just completely satanic. The whole vision of it's totally satanic, makes no sense at all, has nothing to do with reality. No. And that right there is telling us, that's a big one to take when you become a flat earther, because you go, oh man, the lies are this full on. It's this deep. And yes, it is this deep, but the liberation from it is a hell of a liberation, as you know. And that's what drives you, I suspect, is when you're liberated from that cosmology, you're like, oh my God, it's not that.
Well, because you're fully out of the matrix at that point, you can't allow them to get you anymore. Like, you can agree with this. There's nothing that the media, mainstream specifically, can say or do as a headline that someone like me and you are going to just go, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's never going to happen again. Everything they say, it's not that everything they say is a lie, guys. They're going to have to say some truth, but it's the point of their headliners are an agenda. It's on purpose, and it's there to destroy you. It's there to destroy your mind and keep you closed-minded, keep you being told what to do and told how to think. So when people like me and David go, hey, this is a hoax, and here's why. The people that don't even want to hear it, we can't help them. To me, we can never help those people. And that's sad, because I spent from 2015 up until I'd say 2020-ish, I did all I could to help those types of people. And it was a battle, because it's like I helped none of those people. You can't break these types of people, unfortunately. And I wasted so much energy and time on trying to force it on them that I noticed that, you know what? There's so many people now because of COVID. We're not going to get into specific details till we're on Rockfin, but because of COVID, now I started seeing, you know what? There are those people out there that will see a self-truth, realize something, and then wake up. That's fine. But even those people, it's hard with Flat Earth. And I think it's because they're so indoctrinated. They want to, everyone was taught this at 5 years old, and you don't want to let go of your ball. You don't want to be ridiculed by friends and family. We're in a war. I don't care if you don't want to be ridiculed by friends and family during a war, then you're going to lose the war.
You're right. It's right. The stakes are all the way. We're in it's all the way, and that's why I don't care. You can ridicule. I've been ridiculed all my whole career. It's like I'm inured to it. I can't be stopped now because I become completely resistant to all their trolling and all their scams and all their directives, everything. So it just bounces right off. And that is a really powerful position to be in at this point. And that's the powerful position that all of us will be in eventually if you just stay on the path of truth. You actually have something within you where you love the truth. So do I. And there are other people who don't want to know. They don't want to look under the rug. They don't want to know. But those people are disappearing. That crowd is diminishing, and the ones who want to know is increasing.
That's a good point. It's increasing. And I always say this too, to add to that, the ripple effect of the truth. I mean, anyone could pick a year when it started. For me, it's 9/11. That was the true test. Everyone's got to pick a side at that point. 7 buildings came down from 2 holographic looking airplanes. So if that makes sense to someone, a normal person, that 7 buildings came down from 2 weird looking planes in the sky, then they're never going to get it. They're on that side of this war. The ones that got it within the first year, I think a lot of us like-minded people within the first year of 9/11, we understood something was going on. So I feel like for me in my life, that was the true test that started the test. And now it's kind of like you said, there's not a bunch of different crowds anymore. For me, it's like you're in the awakened crowd, and I will include the people that are awakening into that crowd, which is a ripple effect that is never going to stop, and it's eventually going to be the majority. Versus the ones that are can't think for themselves, deny every single piece of evidence that we have, and they're closed-minded individuals. Those are the 2 types of people we have. And the difference is that the closed-minded individual group, no one from this group is going to be joining them ever. They're never going to go back. We're never going to go back to the ball. We're never going to start. None of that's going to happen. It's not, now I think 9/11 was real. That's never going to happen. So our ripple effect of truth on this earth is going to grow and keep growing. And we're going to be alive, in my opinion, that this world is going to be nothing but people like us. Nothing but people like us.
Fantastic. That's the vision of the future that we have. So the future, it's getting better. So this is Steiner, Shreve, Testwar, some of the theosophists. Their position is that the Kali Yuga, or the Age of Darkness, essentially ended in 1899. The very first step, and that's like a 5,000 or 6,000 year cycle of darkness. Sure. The next age is like a 25,000 year cycle of light. And we're just in the very beginning of it. Actually, just the last 130 years is like 0.5% into moving into the light. At the peak will be in 12,500 years. We're just at the very beginning. So that first step is called the apocalypse, which is we find out it was all BS. We find out it was all lies. We find out that all the institutions are corrupt, and we find out that everything we were told was actually something they were trying to sell us. Right? We were being sold. We weren't being told. And so that's the first step. The next step is the community building, where we all start to get together as a community and start going, hey, we actually need to get together and work together. And that's where we are right now. That's for people like you and I. There's a lot of people still in the apocalypse stage where they're like, wait, what? We're being lied to? And then, you move to the community building. And then the third step is when we start actually moving it forward with free energy devices, for example, and just being completely, we're off all their systems, all their institutions, everything else. And we're into voluntarism, right? Because all this whole thing of what we're into, these governments, is all completely and totally degenerate beyond comprehension. And the cheating and the lying and the election, this and that, is just beyond anything. I went through all of it. I go through all this kind of stuff, and I run my Telegram feed, so I'm in it every single day, all day long. And just like what happened in the 2020 election is so incredibly insane.
How are you with the politics? I mean, you got, you throw 100 truthers in a room, you're going to find at least 10 of them that are hoping Trump's saving the world, So, and it's sad because I don't want to judge the ones that are hopeful, but I need to remind them that no one's going to save you. We have to save ourselves. What is your approach on the U.S. politic type of vibe where, for me, it's two demons. You got, what is it? Monarch, Malachian or no?
Zelensky?
Yeah, no, the forgot the name of the demon. It starts with an M, but.
Moloch.
Yes. Okay. I always forget the name, but them versus Luciferians right now. And we're just peasants in the process. They really don't care about us, but this demon will kill us. They do kill us. They take our children. They sacrifice stuff. All the worst of the worst. And then you got these demons that they don't touch children. They don't want to kill you, but they will. And it seems like studying these types of demons from people's knowledge of it, it seems like that's what we're living through right now. What's your thought on that?
Okay, you tapped into an insane. That was really clever, bro. Good job. Because, see, Steiner called all this. And the reason why he was able to call it is because he could see into the spirit world in a way that is hard to comprehend it. Now, I get how tough that is for new people who haven't put Steiner's material into work in their yard, like I've done here in this yard for 20 years. I put his teachings into practice. I've seen what it does. I can show you my Asian pear out there where you go, my God, the thing's friggin' shining. Like, what the hell's going on with that tree? And I've been there with Steiner stuff to the point where it's like, how did he know? What is this? What's this body of work he left behind? So let me lay it out. This is going to be a little bit of a layout, how I'm going to lay this out. And it's basically my worldview. Essentially what Steiner is laying out for us is his form and his perspective of reality, or his identification of the magic of this realm that we're in. Now, all of the Moloch, or what you call, basically, I would call that, or Steiner would call it Ahrimanic. Those are the technocrats. So we have those demons in that world that they're moving in on us right now using the technology. And that Ahrimanic force, that force of materialism and calcification, is much more dangerous than the Luciferic force. Yeah. And that was interesting. You even tuned in on that. So the Luciferic force is like the escapism, the false light. Here, worship our idols over here. Worship Dalai Lama. You saw him try to kiss that kid. Jesus Christ.
Man, bro.
Oh, my God.
It's the most disturbing thing I've seen in a long time.
So disturbing. It's like, what the hell's going on with this guy? But it's to people who understand Luciferianism, they understand the false light, and they understand people giving their power away, and they understand what that means. And what it ends up in is this like kind of soft pedophilia is really what it ends up in. The Ahrimanic deception, or what you said was Moloch, ends up in a hardcore pedophilia, like Eyes Wide Shut type of shit.
Epstein type of shit.
Epstein type stuff, right? Where it's just like, what the hell's going on there? Okay, so those two forces are the two main demons that are before. So there's two forms of evil, not one. That's essential to understand that. Once you understand that, you understand like, oh, okay, if I'm trying to escape, like, let's say somebody is like, okay, I've got to escape my life every day. I've got to drink alcohol and I got to give my power away to doctors. They're Luciferic in the deepest recesses of their consciousness to try to escape their life. Yeah. The other side is like, oh no, I need to make the money. I need to meet the numbers. And if that's the deepest part of their spiritual being, then they're Ahrimanic and they'll fall for all that garbage. And those two demons are running half of humankind right now. And they're moving in on a pincer move right now. This is when it's all going to go down. And it's epic, dude. It really is. And I do believe, by the way, we're going to find out everything.
You think? Okay, so that's what. Good. We could talk about that before we wrap up the YouTube edition. I do feel the same way, man. I talk about it, whether it's just being positive at all times and trying to shift consciousness that way. But I actually do believe it. I do think that we're going to win this war. I think we're already winning the war. And I do feel like we are going to be alive during some sort of, just brand new world that is heaven on earth. Okay. It has to be, because this shit's got to stop. It can't keep going. It's been going on way too long.
It's parasitic, and therefore it cannot keep going. That's an essential Steiner under discovery too. That's very important to get that, because once you get that, you go, oh, the chemtrails, oh, the parasite destroys the host. That's what's going on. Right. So the parasite eventually destroys the host. So these institutions that have been rotted out, eventually they'll fall because there's nothing to hold them up. Then the new love and the new interest and the new excitement and the new magic builds the new thing, which is what we're doing. I mean, we represent the new thing. I've represented that my whole life. New types of nutrition ideas, new types of blender ideas, new types of just new stuff that we can build a civilization on. And by the way, the frozen berries from last year that I'm zipping up every day here in the NutriBullet every morning with maple water from the trees right here. So the whole thing comes from right here. Is so frigging epic, bro. I can't even tell you. Anyway, I do want to mention and come back to this concept that you're actually living, and I've always lived, and this is true for all of us, we've always lived in a magical reality. All of this programming, the Luciferic programming and the Ahrimanic or Moloch programming, is trying to get you away from the magical reality that is already here. What Steiner is doing is he's going, look at this, test this out, try that, look at that. You'll find this out works, and look at this. And then you go, oh my God, the magic is real. It's always been real. That's why the scientism and the Moloch / Ahrimanic deception tries to steal all the magic and say, oh, it's all science.
And that's why I tell people, from the Molochian standpoint in politics, that's Biden and his camp. It's self-evident. You could see that. And then when people like Trump, I'm like, he's a Luciferian. They're all Luciferians. And that's my opinion. But at the same time, I don't want to act like you have to choose a demon. Stop choosing demons. Get rid of them, and we take our world back. We don't need anyone that's on the television to ever exist again. We don't even need it. We can live. Look at how we set up our lives. Look at how we set up our communities. Look at how we set up our future. We don't rely on anyone that's on the television. We don't rely on anyone that's in government. We don't rely on anyone that has corporations. So eventually they're all going to fall, even though they're putting on a show for the world right now. It's to confuse people. It's to divert people. It's to make people fight, when we could all come together and get rid of them all tomorrow. All of them could be destroyed tomorrow if we did that. But it's the point of, how do we get so many people together on the same page? And I talk about this all the time. I won't get into details for a few minutes, but with the George Floyd psyop, and I made a film with Mariam Haneen called The Real Timeline, and we show everyone how disturbingly fake and set up that entire process was. But the point I'm trying to make with that, it's not to describe that on YouTube. It's just the point of, look how quickly millions of people hit the streets like this, man. They're on the streets. They're ready to torch. I mean, I don't know why they're torching small businesses. I don't know what they did, but they're out there doing damage. If we can adjust those people, everyone that has that assassin mentality to go out and make change physically, maybe we're not the type of people to really do that, but there's millions that will. They just we need to get them on our side. How do we do that? How do we change their mind instead of blowing up and torching innocent small businesses? Go to Bill Gates' house, go to Fauci's house, go to the White House, there's so many other places. You go to BlackRock. They did it in France recently. Go to Vanguard, go and take back our world. Give us a few days collectively as humans. This world is new again. It's a brand new, whatever we want it to be. And we're the generals in this war. But at the same time, how do we get that to start? Because you got to change their mind. You have to get those people and wake them up. Because if those types of mentalities, like I always pick on Bryce Mitchell, he's an assassin. So now that he's a truther, that's the best combination to be in this war. you know the truth and you're ready to die for it. You're ready to go out and put your own boot on the ground and take out whoever you got to take out. But we need more people than just Bryce Mitchell. Okay.
It's like Paul, the disciple Paul, right? Saul of Tarsus, was the exact opposite, then was completely flipped around. And what an incredible archetype. And that's a very strong archetype for our time. The way that we do this and the way that we're fighting this in the best way is we just keep shining a light on the evil nonstop. If social media didn't work, they wouldn't be trying to stop it. Look at how much they're trying to stop it. Look at what I've been through the Twitter wars, dude. It's the craziest stuff ever of all time. The shadow banning, the censoring, the bot troll attacks, the leftist degenerate programming, the this, the that, the way that they crunch your account, it's so gnarly what we went through, dude. I can't believe I survived on that platform. I really can't. Since Elon Musk took over, by the way, I've tripled my following. I've been on that platform since 2008. Tripled it, just like that, less than a year. That's how crazy the suppression is. And these people, the communists, socialists, they're again, some of them are Ahrimanic and some of them are Luciferic, but they're demonically possessed. And so the only possible outcome is destruction. Yeah. We're kind of the builders of the next thing. So yeah. I hear what you're saying about, like, we got to mow them down. We got to fight them off. And there will be people on our side. There'll be U.S. military guys will be like, we'll do that work for you. That's what we're trained to do. But you and I are thought leaders. Yeah. We are thought leaders. So I can show you how we can live off this ecosystem here in nature, here in, Northern Ontario, Canada. I can show you exactly what we can do to survive here easily on the resources that are here. Because what we learn from the internet in our lifetime is crazy, absolutely nuts. I can also show you that same thing in Hawaii. I can also show you that same thing in Texas. I can also show you that same thing in California. All those ecosystems I've lived in and farmed in for years, decades. Yeah. So that type of knowledge needs to be passed along, because that survival information will be key. Also, just the way that we run our social media, which is we just shine a light on the truth. That's really important. Keep people on that. Don't worry about fighting those bad guys. Just keep them on the truth. Keep the light on the truth. And it freaks them out. There's those rats love the cover of darkness. They love it.
They do. And I want to actually, we'll do this on Rockfin. All right, guys, it's already been enough time. I hope you enjoyed the preview with David Avocado Wolfe. I really want to talk a few big boy topics with him that we can't talk about on this stupid platform. So thank you, YouTube. Thank you, David Avocado Wolfe, for joining this. Guys, I'll see you over on Rockfin.